Welcome to Kansas Ag Report. I'm Brian Holman, and here's our lineup for today's show. In Ag News, we'll take a look at local and national headlines affecting Kansas farmers. In our Ag Feature, Ken visits with Mike Frakes from Morland Community Foundation in Graham County. And inside Kansas Ag, Kansas Wheat talks trade with China, then KDA talks about the Growth Strategy Project. And in News You Need to Know, we get our weekly update from the Kansas Livestock Association, look back at last week's market activity with the guys from Paragon, and we'll let you know about important events coming up around the state of Kansas. Glad you could join us.
Closed captioning brought to you by
The Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers. KansasSoybeans.org.
Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farmers and ranchers since 1919. KFB.org. Kansas Wheat Commission, leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for wheat. Online at kswheat.com. Kansas Livestock Association, supporting our members' business interests to meet consumers' demands. KLA.org.
Here's our national headlines for this week in Ag News. Monsanto is pulling its newest nematode control seed treatment, NemaStrike, from the market after finding cases of skin irritation associated with handling and application of the product. Monsanto says it's stopping commercialization of the product out of an abundance of caution while it reviews the situation. Illinois Governor Bruce Raynier declared a statewide harvest emergency to assist farmers grappling with harvest rain delays. The declaration allows truckers moving agricultural commodities to exceed gross vehicle weight limits by 10%. Jeff Atkinson, Executive Vice President of the Grain and Feed Association of Illinois, says the declaration allows elevators to haul out commodities faster, making room for grain currently stored on the ground. John Deere has signed an agreement to supply farm tractors to Cuba, the first direct sales of U.S. farm machinery to that island nation in more than half a century. Deere spokesman Ken Golden told the Cuban Standard the plans call for shipments of several hundred tractors and associated implements over a 4-year period. Deere's announcement follows news that a Caterpillar dealer will open a distribution center in Cuba. And in local news, FSA reminds producers to report prevented planting and felled acres in order to establish or retain FSA program eligibility for some programs. Producers should report crop acreage they intended to plant but were prevented from planting due to natural disasters. Prevented planting acres must be reported on Form CCC-576, Notice of Loss, no later than 15 calendar days after the final planting date as established by FSA and Risk Management Agency. Contact your local FSA office for a list of final planting dates by crop. Kansas soybean farmers and their industry partners will gather January 10th in Topeka for the Kansas Soybean Expo. The Kansas Soybean Association organizes the annual event with checkoff funding from the Kansas Soybean Commission. Registration and exhibits open at 8:30 a.m. with a program scheduled from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. A complete detailed agenda and pre-registration forms are available at kansassoybeans.org/expo on the web. Agricultural Secretary Sonny Perdue has announced David Shem as the State FSA and Rural Development Director. Shem has served as President of the Kansas Association of Wheat Growers and President of the National Association of Wheat Growers. State directors help implement Department of Agricultural policies in planning, organizing, and administrating FSA programs in their respective states. Congratulations, David. Up next in our Ag Feature, Ken visits with Mike Frakes from Morland Community Foundation in Graham County. You're watching Kansas Ag Report. Please stay tuned.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Livestock Association, supporting our members' business interests to meet consumers' demands. KLA.org. Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. Grassandgrain.com. Kansas Wheat Commission, leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for wheat. Online at kswheat.com.
What if U.S. soybean meal were more than a commodity? If seed companies and the soybean checkoff built a better variety? That future is here. The time is now. To meet end-user demands, the soybean checkoff is investing in the compositional quality of soybeans, including meal. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Imagine having someone help you pick the best corn hybrids for every field on your farm. Your Oldie representative can combine your data with his data to offer a field-by-field prescription. Contact Oldie Seed today at 877-692-4555.
All over the country, more and more communities are making the change to biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil. And the decision continues, improving the health and welfare for millions of Americans while adding billions to our national economy.
What does a brighter, more sustainable future look like in our cities and towns, and how do we get there? When New York needed an alternative fuel source to reduce carbon emissions, the city found what it needed in biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil.
The producer-funded Kansas Wheat Innovation Center was built to get improved varieties into the hands of farmers faster. Kansas Wheat, farmers advancing their future through wheat genetics research.
Well, thanks for joining us. We're on the road in Morland and talking with Mike Frakes, who is a member of the Morland Community Foundation, and we're in one of their projects, which is the Morland Mercantile. So, Mike, let's talk about this. Boy, it's kind of like a throwback in time, but as well, it's got a lot of modern conveniences right here in a small town in western Kansas.
It does. And when we opened the Mercantile, we wanted to keep the original feel of that old-time country grocery store. But we also realized that we need to have products that people are buying today, and we offer fresh deli meats and stuff like that that's not seen in other stores in the area.
In fact, while we were here, a guy came in off the road from central Nebraska, and he found some cheese can't find everywhere. So I guess there's probably a lot of stories like that, aren't there?
There are, yes. And there are a lot of people that are surprised when they're here the first time at the product selection that we carry here in this little small store.
Now, it is a mercantile, so it's a little bit different than a grocery store, so there's probably some things you can and can't do, but one of those things that you feature is what's right behind us is a lot of the homemade products. We'll talk more about those in a little bit, but maybe talk about some of these homemade products.
That is correct. We have some local vendors that bring their products to us, and we like to feature them here in our store, being a local feel, and local is with anywhere in the northwest Kansas area.
And now there's a test kitchen. We're going to get to that a little bit because that's pretty unique as well. But you have some of these, and they're quite some unique stories, some unique names, and I think a lot of folks might be surprised at the ingenuity that comes from our small towns. That there really is a lot of that and a great entrepreneurial spirit.
There really is, and we see it with the kitchen next door. You know, we see people come in and have ideas that we never would have thought of and thought, wow, what a great idea.
I think a lot of folks, would think a lot of times community projects, there's everybody's version of salsa. Everybody can make a better salsa, but there's a lot to that. There's a lot of baked goods. There's a lot of things that different meal ideas, and some of them come right out of that kitchen, I would guess.
That's correct. They do have most of the vendors in there have their own Facebook page, and they share their personal recipes with the products that they make, and it's a great source for healthy foods for people.
So I guess tell us why the Community Foundation decided to go this route and to work on a mercantile.
So, like many small communities, the original owner of the grocery store was an aging individual and retired and shut the store down. And we realized there was a need for an access to healthy foods here in the community. And so as a community foundation, we decided to basically take that under our wing and try to get this project up and going.
We're at the Morland Mercantile. We'll have more in just a moment.
This segment brought to you by Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farmers and ranchers since 1919. KFB.org. Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. Grassandgrain.com. Kansas Wheat Commission, leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for wheat. Online at kswheat.com.
Welcome back, and we're on the road in Morland, talking with Mike Frakes with the Morland Community Foundation. We're actually at the Morland Mercantile. Mike, how big is Morland?
Morland's a community of about 150 people.
So 150 people, you're supporting this Mercantile, which does have some grocery items and a lot of things. And so I think many folks want to know how things are going with that.
Not too bad. We like many small stores, we struggle occasionally, but we're sustainable and we're always working toward that.
Now there is a community kitchen as also kind of part of this in the big picture. Tell us about that.
Yes, the community kitchen was phase 2 of the project, which has been completed, and it is an incubator kitchen, as most people are commonly known as, and basically people can come in there and rent the kitchen for $10 an hour, and it's a state certified kitchen so that they can make their products and sell them retail without going through a lot of the hoops that sometimes you have to jump through.
Well, and sometimes that's a lot of what happens, regulations and other things, and everybody's got to kind of follow those rules, and so it does make it a challenge sometime. But talk about the foundation, and because you all, I believe, have all full-time jobs, and so you're trying to grow your businesses as well as giving back to your community. Tell us about those efforts.
So we all do, yes. All the board members, there are 9 of us that all have full-time jobs, but we realize the importance of keeping our community strong and growing and bringing new things to our community. And so it's definitely worth the effort. And when you see somebody, that doesn't have an access to healthy foods or would have to drive a long distance, walk into our store and then is able to take that product home, that's a really good feeling.
There was a lot of stories being shared. It was at the board meeting, and some of that extra service that in the big cities they just don't get, but it's just kind of common sense and commonplace, especially in rural areas.
That's correct. Morland used to be known as the only town in America where you could get a loan from a banker and then walk next door and she'd feed you a hamburger. And that was our president and founder, Faye Minium. And now we kind of carry on that tradition because we do deliver meals here. If a resident can't make it in, a community member needs a meal brought to them, we will do that.
All right, so folks, this is all over the state, so tell us where Morland is and how easy it is to get here.
Well, Morland is just located off of Highway 24 in between Hill City and Hoxie. So we're in right northwest Kansas, about an hour northwest of Hayes. And we're not that hard to find.
Great hunting and fishing areas.
Great hunting and fishing. We have a local lake, Antelope Lake, which is a great fishing, and local hunting is excellent.
Okay, so Mike, if folks want to know more about the Morland Mercantile, how can they do that?
They can get a hold of Morland Mercantile here directly at 627-4040, or they can visit our Facebook page, Morland Mercantile.
All right. Mike Frakes, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
One of the Morland community members, Community Foundation members, talking about the Morland Mercantile. We're on the road, and stay with us. We'll have more in just a moment. You're watching the Kansas Ag Report.
U.S. Wheat Associates and the National Association of Wheat Growers welcome the decision by the Trump administration to make sure China is living up to its commitments on wheat trade. In response to action by the administration, the World Trade Organization dispute settlement body has established a panel to rule on a complaint filed in December of 2016 by the U.S. Trade Representative regarding China's administration of its tariff rate quotas for wheat and other agricultural products. U.S. Wheat and NOG are very pleased with the Trump administration's aggressive use of the WTO dispute settlement mechanism on behalf of wheat farmers. This is the second panel established at the WTO under the Trump administration to defend the interests of wheat farmers. The first will examine whether China's market price support programs for wheat, corn, and rice violate its trade commitments. According to a 2016 Iowa State University study sponsored by U.S. Wheat, China's market price support programs cost U.S. wheat farmers between $650 and $700 million annually in lost revenue by preempting export opportunities and suppressing global prices. Justin Gilpin, CEO of Kansas Wheat, says we are grateful that this administration is taking a tough stance in regard to these trade violations. In Kansas and around the world, local wheat prices have long been impacted by these market-distorting practices and WTO violations by China.
Agriculture is the largest economic driver in the state of Kansas, with a total economic contribution of $68 billion, nearly 45% of the state's economy, so it's clear to achieve statewide economic growth, we need to start with agriculture. To that end, the agriculture industry has been engaged in a broad strategic growth project over the past 2 years. In August, many leaders from across the state attended the second annual Governor's Summit on Agricultural Growth in Manhattan, where participants analyzed growth outcomes that had been identified for 19 separate agriculture sectors and then worked to develop specific action items which will move toward achievements of those goals. Those action items are now being compiled and will be shared with the summit attendees, and then industry-wide, we will work together to realize growth throughout Kansas agriculture. During this process, it has been clear that statewide growth will require collaboration across the industry, in all sectors throughout the production chain. We are all interconnected in many ways. It will also require participation and engagement from all corners of the state and from all sectors of the industry to bring about the outcomes we envision for the growth of Kansas agriculture. Please keep updated on the growth project at Kansas Ag Growth website at agriculture.ks.gov/growag. While challenges exist, the opportunity for growth and the willingness of the Kansas agriculture industry to work together to address these challenges is far greater. Working together, these outcomes can be accomplished, growing agriculture and growing Kansas.
The producer-funded Kansas Wheat Innovation Center was built to get improved varieties into the hands of farmers faster. Kansas Wheat, farmers advancing their future through wheat genetics research.
This segment brought to you by Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farmers and ranchers since 1919. KFB.org. Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. grassandgrain.com. Kansas Wheat Commission, leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for wheat. Online at kswheat.com.
Premier Farm and Home has what you need to make your lawn the best in the neighborhood.
Hi, I'm Ken. We choose Premier Farm and Home for the professional look that we do ourselves.
Feel free to stop in. You can also visit our website at heycow.com.
What if U.S. soybean meal were more than a commodity? If seed companies and the soybean checkoff built a better variety? That future is here. The time is now. To meet end-user demands, the soybean checkoff is investing in the compositional quality of soybeans, including meal. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
You need a partner that you can count on to be there for your business. Providing a depth of understanding to risk management issues so you don't have to. A knowledgeable support team located in your area delivering products and services to make you more successful.
The producer-funded Kansas Wheat Innovation Center was built to get improved varieties into the hands of farmers faster. Kansas Wheat, farmers advancing their future through wheat genetics research.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
All over the country, more and more communities are making the change to biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil, and the decision continues improving the health and welfare for millions of Americans while adding billions to our national economy.
What does a brighter, more sustainable future look like in our cities and towns, and how do we get there? When New York needed an alternative fuel source to reduce carbon emissions, the city found what it needed in biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil.
Imagine having someone help you pick the best corn hybrids for every field on your farm. Your Oldie representative can combine your data with his data to offer a field-by-field prescription. Contact Oldie Seed today at 877-692-4555.
The producer-funded Kansas Wheat Innovation Center was built to get improved varieties into the hands of farmers faster. Kansas Wheat, farmers advancing their future through wheat genetics research.
A marketing executive who is helping the industry develop digital marketing strategies to reach beef's target audience will be the featured speaker during Beef Industry University, November 30th at the Kansas Livestock Association Convention in Wichita. VML Executive Vice President Eric Baumgartner will talk about radical changes in how Americans are shopping for everything from food, including beef and milk, to cars and homes. He will offer insight into these changes and what it means for beef promotion and advertising programs funded by producers through the Beef Checkoff. Baumgartner has extensive experience in digital engagement, design, and communications technology in the consumer space. His current clients at VML, which is a full-service marketing and advertising agency, include Microsoft, Amazon, and Chevron. Another KLA convention highlight will be a review of the massive Starbuck wildfire early this year and how Southwest Kansas ranchers are recovering. KLA President David Clausen of Englewood and a member of the Gardner family from Ashland will tell some of the harrowing and heartwarming stories associated with the fire. Rounding out the convention program will be the always popular cattle and grain market outlook from CattleFact's Chief Executive Officer Randy Block. Schedule and registration information is available on KLA.org.
Good morning. I'm Eric Osterhaus with Paragon Ag. Our harvest pace for corn has continued to lag the averages, as we are estimated to be roughly 18% behind our normal pace. Due to the harvest delays, there continues to be debate as to what our yield will be here in the U.S., and the states running the farthest behind seem to be the ones that the trade are most interested in knowing. This may explain a little bit why corn continues to trade a pretty narrow range. Expect more of the same until more information is known. The soybean harvest, on the other hand, seems to be progressing along the averages and will likely finish up in the next 2 to 3 weeks. The traders will likely be just a little more cautious beating the bearish drum after getting caught a little off sides on that October USDA supply and demand report. South America weather is now a tradable headline, and some level of uncertainty needed to be added back into that market, especially with our export pace staying strong. The wheat market, on the other hand, really still has a lack of fresh headlines, other than the well-publicized, burdensome world stocks. It feels like our U.S. acres will continue to drop again this year, but we need a new headline in wheat. The good news is that our 2018 wheat is not yet made, and we have yet to trade any uncertainty to this point. That will likely change as we move forward. Give us a call today at 888-452-8751. Have a productive day.
Closed captioning brought to you by
The Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers. KansasSoybeans.org.
Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farmers and ranchers since 1919. KFB.org. Kansas Weed Commission, leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for wheat. Online at kswheat.com. Kansas Livestock Association, supporting our members' business interests to meet consumers' demands. KLA.org.
Well, that's our show for today. I hope you'll join us each week for more news and information about agriculture in the state of Kansas. I'm Brian Holman, and thanks for watching.
What if U.S. soybean meal were more than a commodity? If seed companies and the soybean checkoff built a better variety? That future is here. The time is now. To meet end-user demands, the soybean checkoff is investing in the compositional quality of soybeans, including meal. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
The producer-funded Kansas Wheat Innovation Center was built to get improved varieties into the hands of farmers faster. Kansas Wheat, farmers advancing their future through wheat genetics research.